Wonderful. Well, good morning, everyone. I think we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. Jasmine, will you please take the roll call?
Yes. Regent Lozar is excused. Chair Rogers.
Here.
Regent Nystuen.
I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning. Regent Buchanan.
Good morning, I'm here.
Regent Dombrowski.
Morning, I'm here.
Regent Bao.
Here.
Regent Sexton.
Here.
Commissioner Christian.
I'm here.
Governor Gianforte is being represented by Dylan Clapmeyer.
Here, thanks.
Superintendent Artson. Just a minute. I see her on.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Oh, there we go.
Back to you, Chair Rogers.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. We have one item on the agenda this morning. The agenda item and the corresponding resolution are posted and available for today's discussion on the mus.edu website. With that said, I'll now turn it over to Tyler Trevor, Deputy Commissioner for Budget and Planning, to provide a brief introduction of the item for consideration.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Yeah, great. First off, thank you for convening so quickly to address this time-sensitive matter. As the item title reads, this is a request to increase spending authority and financing for MSU's Wellness Center. It's kind of a two-part request, so I'll address the spending authority topic first. This is really the topic that relates to the timeliness of this meeting and the need to move quickly. So spending authority. The board approved $60 million in spending authority for the design and construction of the Wellness Center in May of 2020. A year later, roughly now, the bids that have come back from potential contractors are roughly $18.2 million higher than that spending authority. So I just, first of all, want to stress, this is not the result of a scope change at all, but rather the combination of factors related to inflation and really extreme price increases in material and labor. So this factor is really what's creating the time sensitivity. The state of Montana has 30 days to sign off on the bid, and A&E, Architecture and Engineering, can't do so unless it has the appropriate spending authority granted by the Board of Regents. And so that's the time crunch that we're in. So that's the first part of the request. The second part of the request is financing. And so the original financing plan consisted of $22 million in revenue bonds, which would equate to a $58 per semester student facilities fee. So that's the request here. And just as a reminder, the remainder of this project to fill up the totality of the $60 million comes from the insurance proceeds from the collapse of the gym. So this request to increase the $22 million bond by $18.2 million keeps the $58 per semester facilities fee the same. It's achieved by excellent interest rates that are lower than what were anticipated to begin with, and a slight adjustment to the term, the length of the bond. So that's the crux of it. It's an increase in spending authority by $18.2 million and an equal increase in the financing on the revenue bonds. I'll stop there. There's an attachment that goes with this, the primary item, which is the bond resolution, which the chair of the board and the commissioner would sign. Madam Chair, I'll stop there and look for questions.
Madam Chair, I've got a couple of questions. Deputy Commissioner Trevor, thanks for the report. You mentioned adjustment to the term of the bonds. Maybe give a little bit more color there. And then as this fee was specifically set to service this debt, does that fee sunset at the end of that term, or what would happen to that student fee?
Yes, Madam Chair, Regent Buchanan. The original item which approved the financing actually occurred in September. The spending authority was last May. September of this last year, the board approved the financing terms, which gave MSU the ability to go up to 25 years. But their plan operationally was to go out for a 20-year term. And so this increases it by 5 years. It was already within the board's authority. So the item itself says there's no change to the term. Technically, that's correct. The terms that were approved last September. And the $58 facilities fee, yes, that is specifically attached to this item. It is the revenue stream to pay for the bond.
Thank you. And that is scheduled to sunset at the end of the 25-year term. Is that correct?
I don't actually believe we have that in the item, but that is the nature of these bonds, these fees rather. So they are connected to this item, and we can put that as a note within this meeting itself.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner.
Thank you for those questions, Regent Buchanan. Great questions. Other questions from the regents?
Madam Chair, if I could add something too at some point.
Yeah, Commissioner Christian.
Madam Chair, thank you. I just want to note a couple things. One, just the process that we need to do. We need this approval in order to timely accept the bid process, which opens up a conversation to allow further discussion. And we will have those. The president and I and her team have had a number of discussions. We will look for ways through change orders that we can, in fact, reduce costs associated with. We understand the impact of this. I agree, this is inflationary driven, but nonetheless, it's dollars that are being spent. And if we can find any opportunities to reduce the cost, we will. In some cases, it may even be reducing the overall cost of the project. We will try hard not to reduce the scope. I think that's been well vetted, and we want to try to stay with where we're at to meet the needs of the current student population. But we will look for ways that we can save money, and we've talked to the contractors about that. We've talked to A&E about it. If we can do so through change orders, we will. But it is important to note that those conversations can't happen before this bid is signed. So it's important that we approve it where it's at, and then we'll look for cost savings. Unfortunately, the process doesn't allow for the inverse. We would have to essentially not accept the bid and start over on this. And we've got, honestly, almost a couple of years invested in this process. So I encourage your support of this, and know that I'll work with the president. Our teams will work together to try to find any cost savings that we possibly can.
Thank you, Commissioner Christian. First, I'll go to Regent Nicetoon and then to Regent Bao, who may need to be unmuted. Jasmine.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. You know, the cost of construction obviously has gone up, and there's no surprise there for that. But will there be sufficient dollars for the inflated cost to provide for all of the equipment, office furniture, fixtures, all the ancillary things that are required as part of outfitting this brand new building? Are there sufficient dollars to cover those inflated costs as well? Thank you.
Madam Chair, Regent Nicetoon, I believe so. We have Vice President Terry Least on the line. He's the guy with the details. He could probably paint some color around that.
Madam Chair and Regent Nicetoon and members of the board, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. It shows that my video is not working, so I apologize for that. I can't seem to start that. First of all, I would just like to say thank you so much for meeting today to address this item. It's very important for our students. Recognizing the market circumstances are not ideal, but the level of investment that we have in this and our ability to do this with no addition to student fees, we will need to do a few more years on this thing than we were hoping to do, but as Deputy Commissioner Trevor mentioned, it won't be any more than was originally approved by the board. So, and the other piece of good news is that the interest rates are actually lower now than what we were modeling, so that will help us as well. Regent Nystuen, I'm sorry, could you repeat your question for me? I just
Sure.
want to make sure I answer that.
Thank you, Vice President Lees. The question is we all know that the cost of building the construction has gone up considerably. Will you have sufficient dollars to cover any inflated costs for outfitting the building with office furniture, equipment, all the ancillary types of things that need to go into this great new building? Will you have enough to properly outfit it?
Yes, thank you, Regent Nystuen, and members of the board. So the answer to that question is we certainly think so at this point. I mean, most of those costs are included in the total project cost. The inflation, when we get there, we will see. I mean, I don't know right now we don't have the details to show us that, okay, where, if that inflation is across the board or if it's in specific areas, but we certainly anticipate that we will. But until we get those details of actually purchasing the furniture and equipment at that time, we will see. But yes, we do anticipate that we will with this additional authority. And again, we thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Regent Nystuen. Regent Bao.
Madam Chair, I think that I'd just like to comment. I think there was some good planning that went into this initially. I'd like to compliment the team. You know, they left enough cushion with years to maturity, that they were able to, that initial prudent planning is allowing them to keep fees at the same and still make adjustments that were totally unexpected with the price inflation we've seen in construction. So I'm supportive of moving forward with this initiative and complimentary of the way the team left themselves enough room to maneuver, even in pretty difficult pricing circumstances.
Thank you, Regent Bao. Any other questions or comments from the regents? Okay. Seeing no further discussion from board members, I'll now entertain a motion to approve the item.
So moved.
Thank you, Regent Bao. Before we have any additional discussion, I would like to open it up for comment on this item only. Please note that we will have time for additional public comment on other matters before our vote. So right now we'll be doing public comment on this item only. If you wish to provide public comment, please use the raise your hand feature. If joining online, the raise hand feature is normally found at the bottom of your screen. It may also be found at the bottom of the participants panel after clicking the participants button. If joining by phone, dial *9, that's asterisk, followed by the numeral 9 to raise your hand. Once your hand is raised, please wait to be called on. We will acknowledge your request as soon as we can. The host will lower hands in order and ask to unmute. For those joining on phone, please press *6 to unmute. For those joining online, press the unmute button. Once unmuted, please state your full name and then proceed with your comment. If you run into technical issues at any point, please email Jared Smith at jsmith@montana.edu for assistance. Jared is on standby to assist you. Again, Jared's email is jsmith@montana.edu. We will be limiting each commenter to 3 minutes of public comment. If you would like to give additional public comment beyond your 3 minutes, please submit it in writing to oche@montana.edu. That's OCHE@montana.edu. Okay, Jasmine, do we have any public comment on this item?
Chair Rogers, I do not see any public comment at this time.
Okay. Seeing no public comment, do any board members have additional comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, I will now call for the vote on the question. All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. The motion passes. Thank you. And now, since this is a public meeting, I will call for any additional public comment on any matter not on the agenda, but under the jurisdiction of the Board of Regents. We will follow the same procedure as we did earlier. Please raise your hand and we will acknowledge your request as soon as we can. Jasmine, do we have any additional public comment?
Chair Rogers, we do.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Amanda, I'm going to ask you to unmute and you may give your public comment. Please state your full name and give your public comment.
Okay, can you hear me all right?
Yep.
My name is Amanda Dossi, and I am the president of the University Faculty Association at the University of Montana. And first of all, thank you so much for everything you have done to support the welfare of students, faculty, and staff. I've received numerous messages from faculty who are very concerned about the safety of their classrooms, labs, and other indoor spaces. Given the rising number of COVID infections and the continuing low vaccination rates among college-age Missoula County residents, among many other factors. And so I'm here simply to urge the board to use all available tools, including a mask requirement, to prevent COVID on campus. And I understand the difficulty of providing a one-size-fits-all policy across the MUS system. I'll quote Commissioner Christian from his August 6th memo to campus CEOs. There is clearly substantial variation across the country, across Montana, and across our campuses in both the fundamental public health conditions and the way in which local communities are reacting to these conditions. And so if the board cannot or will not implement a system-wide mask requirement, I urge the board to allow campuses the flexibility to require masks. Even in cases where there's not a mask requirement at the county level, clearly county health departments are making decisions based on county level data, and campus populations can be very different and much more at risk. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Jasmine, do we have additional public comment?
Chair Rogers, we do. Bradford, you're being asked to unmute and please state your full name and then proceed with your comment.
Yes, this is Bradford Watson. Can everyone hear me?
We can.
Great, thank you. Bradford Watson from Montana State University. I am here representing MUSFAR, or the Montana University Faculty Association representatives, all of the chairs of the faculty senates across the campus system. I want to thank the Regents and the Commissioner's Office for all that you've done over the past year and a half. It's been a very trying and difficult time for everybody across the country, and we appreciate all the tools that were put in place going into last fall that have kept us safe. We are concerned that we do not have those same tools going into this fall semester that we did last year. And given that several of our campuses are in the CDC high risk category, and we know that things can change rapidly and dramatically with COVID, MUSFAR is asking the Board of Regents to require face coverings for all indoor spaces for all campuses this fall for the safety of everyone, and for that to be extended to the spring semester if necessary. A face covering requirement is the best tool available for ensuring the campus communities remain safe and that classes do not have to move to remote instruction. The BOR has the constitutional authority to govern the safety and well-being of the campuses, and we implore you to reconsider your position on face coverings for all campuses for the fall, with a reevaluation for the spring semester. Faculty from campuses in the MUS have expressed grave concerns about the safety of everyone on their campuses, in the classrooms, the labs, in all public spaces. And we know that masking indoors is the most effective way, regardless of vaccination status, to keep our communities safe. We, as the MUSFAR group representing the faculty, offer our support to you should you like to hear more specific measures the faculty can do to help ensure the health and safety of our campus community. Thank you.
Thank you, Bradford. Jasmine, do we have additional public comment?
No additional public comment at this time.
Okay. Well, thank you all. Thank you so much to the Montana State University team for all of your work on this issue and bringing it forward to us so expediently. We're looking forward to seeing progress on that facility and appreciate all of your work. And Commissioner Christian, unless there's anything additional you'd like to add?
I think we're good. Just appreciate everybody's time and making this meeting happen on short notice. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much for joining us today. And with that, I'll adjourn this meeting. Have a good day, everyone.